Welcome to World of Marketing Podcast, a Foster Web Marketing production. Here's your host, Tom Foster.
We're good to go. Okay, everybody, it is the World of Marketing, and we decided to stop keeping episode count because we're always changing them up depending upon what's going on. And this is an example of that. I've got as my guest today one of my good buddies and one of my amazing employees that's been with me since, God, how long now?
It's been a while. I think we're 10 years.
10 years.
This August, yeah.
Yep, Kevin Quigley, Captain Quigley, I like to call him because it sounds cool. And he also brought along his beard. So
I did. I brought it for you.
If you're just listening on a podcast, that's great. We appreciate that. But you know, you're missing out on a fantastic beard. And so if we were going to do a contest in the company, or maybe even on the East Coast of beards, you would win.
I really appreciate that. Yeah. I feel like a before and after for a developer. It's like, this is what it looks like when they're in the office. This is what happens when they work from home.
Well, this is all COVID beard. This is COVID, right? You started this.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Like I gave up. Like I was going with you for a while. Remember, we were going for a while and I gave up. But you have anyway. Well, let's get to the point here. All right, so Kevin has been with FWM for 10 years, and he is our, how do I say it? You are like kind of our recon developer. You're our specialty guy, and you're the one that makes the magic happen, and really works with the team to make all the cool stuff on websites happen, right? Isn't that fair?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I tend to take on our more custom redesigns, and I certainly do a lot of our custom calculators and different tools for our clients. So yeah, I tend to do a lot of R&D and a lot of kind of one-off custom projects.
Yep. And you've been doing that for a while. And Thomas, where did you go? Thomas disappeared, but we have Thomas here. There, he's back now. Okay,
there he
disappeared
is.
For a minute.
Wanted to serve no distraction.
Maybe we had no. So if you're watching the video too, you'll also notice that we all have flannel shirts on today. And that is in honor of Captain Quigley, because the captain wears a flannel shirt pretty much no matter what.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's got to be pretty hot for him not to be having a flannel on.
That is true. Yeah.
And then it's a good t-shirt, usually with the good meme on it or picture or whatever.
You have to, yeah.
And also, I just want to say, because I just found out when I asked, what are you moving, Kevin? Kev, are you moving or moving in or? Nope. That is behind him in all those boxes, his comic book collection, which is very cool. I did not know that about him, having known him for 10 years, not knowing that he had a comic book collection, which is super cool.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And so those of you that have a comic book collection and want to know what Kevin collects, you can reach out to him.
Yeah, reach out.
Kevin?
We can nerd out.
You can be pals. You can be comic book pals. Anyway, so the reason why we got Kevin on here today is to talk about something that everybody's asking about, which is page speed. If you're not asking about it, you should be asking about it because it's about to hit you in the head like a brick. So Kev, why are we talking about page speed? What's going on with, and when we're talking about loading time, how fast your pages load on all the different browsers, platforms, whether it's desktop or mobile or what have you. That's kind of what we're talking about. But correct?
Yeah, for sure. And well said. And we should be, because Google is talking about it, right? So page speed is building, the topic in general is building tremendous momentum on the web right now. So when we say page speed, just in its basic literal definition, as you said, it's just how long it takes for a browser to load the contents of your website, right? Which has always been important in terms of just performance, right? For any website. These days, it's becoming much more important because Google is starting to pay a lot of attention to page speed. So much so that in an upcoming update, they are going to use page speed as a factor for determining search results, which is a pretty big deal. And I think that's what got everybody talking about it.
Sure.
Right? So Google. So last year, May of 2020, Google kind of snuck out an announcement to the world that said, hey, there's this upcoming change. And it just got everyone talking because they essentially said there's a change coming. We'll give you a 6 months heads up.
They rarely do that too.
And I'm so glad that they did. You know, if that was a nod for the developers, right? To give us a chance to catch up. So one interesting thing that happened though is after they preemptively made that announcement, they updated their PageSpeed Insights tool, which we all use to measure our page speed and performance. They updated the tool to reflect what websites, how they will be scored and viewed when this future update comes out. So it kind of freaked everybody out a little bit, right? So they had this notice that said, hey, this change is coming. And then all of a sudden, page speed scores in SEO tools and page speed insights dropped significantly for everyone, the entire web. And everyone kind of freaked out a little bit, you know, as
those that are listening that pay attention to that stuff know. Remember when that happened?
Yeah, that was a big deal.
And like everybody, our clients that are paying attention to that, what's going on? And you know, that was a good thing that Google did that, because it gives guys like you opportunity to fix it, resolve it. And that's the interesting thing about this update, is that this is not a Panda update, you know, like about content optimization, you know, whether this is about a architecture code, a code update, which is a significant change. It's a different kind of update than anything else. And they've never done anything where they've told, I guess they haven't really had to before, right? So it's pretty interesting that they're doing it. And it has mostly to do with user intent, right? And user experience. That's why they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the user experience. And I think we saw this coming in some way. I mean, as mobile use has continued to increase, and at this point it's surpassed desktop even, you know, it's not surprising that they're starting to pay attention to page speed, especially on mobile devices where your networks might be poor or the devices themselves are less capable. So it's really no surprise that they're focusing on it. But this is a big deal. So with Google paying attention to this now, I want to make sure that, you know, all of our clients are paying attention to this also, because this is a pretty big deal, and it's coming. The update is actually going to roll out officially in the search results this year, May of 2021.
May, that's the plan.
Yeah, that's when it's coming. So
it's mid-February right now when we're talking about this, and that's March. That's 2 or 3 months. That's 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, it's not long. Yeah.
And they might not do it right away. Sometimes they do this and then they don't actually implement it. And they might not, it might just be in certain, and I'm sure they'll do a rollout to test it.
Yeah.
They don't do it all at once. So not everybody will be impacted at once, but we've already got a line. You're working on them. You're one of the ones, right? One of our.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's working on bringing everybody to version 5. Because we're prepared. You've already fixed it, so we're ready to go for the new Google update in version 5. That's what we call our update, to bring everybody, you know, the new Google. What do we call this update, by the way? Page speed update.
Yeah, page speed. Yeah.
So how do people measure, or how do they find out if they've got if they need to do this? Well, everybody needs to do it, period. So there's no like, do I need to do it? Yeah, you do, because it's a code change. So this is a lot like, I wouldn't say it's a recall, But in a way it is. It's like, you got to fix this code and update this code, right? You know what I mean?
I mean, that's essentially what they're saying. Yeah. And the scores in
Yeah.
the new tool certainly reflect that. Everybody that was, quote, passing before, not so much now. So
Right.
it's pretty significant for sure.
So what is there a tool or something? You talked about this insights tool. Is that something that people can use, Kev?
Yeah, so there are a lot of tools online that you can use to measure page speed and various performance metrics. For the sake of this conversation and talking about Google, specifically, I would recommend the Page Speed Insights tool for sure. And in fact, I think so many of our clients are already starting to use this tool that there might be some value in actually breaking down the components of that tool. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding for people.
Can we show that? Can you show it to them? All right, here, let me give you, you can show your screen.
Yeah, I'm going to share now. So I'm going to pull up one of our sites. So this is the PageSpeed Insights tool that I'm talking about. This is just a website that anybody can go to.
There's
online.
my buddy, John Gale.
Yeah, there's your buddy, John Gale.
He's looking good with his beard in that picture right there.
He is. He's
John
looking good.
Gale's listening, or Cole. Cole might be listening to this. Anyway.
Yep, he's looking good. And no, it's okay. His site is looking good, and more importantly, his numbers are looking good.
That's great. Look at that.
Yeah, he just got a page speed upgrade, and his numbers are looking fantastic. So I thought he would be a good example just to talk about the components of this.
He jumped on early on.
He did.
He got it taken care of early on.
In fact, I think he was the first upgrade that I did. I think the first official upgrade. I did one for Spada before that. So. Here's the thing about this tool. There's a little bit to unpack here, but I want to make sure that this is educational. So obviously, online tool, you pop in your URL that you want to measure. So at the very top here, right off the bat, we have an overall score. So this number is from 1 to 100, and this score represents all of the factors and metrics that they're using for performance. And you can see that it's color-coded here from red, which would be a poor experience, to the orange, which is like needs improvement or could use some improvement, up to the green, which is just, we're getting into some really good scores here at that point. So this is one component, the overall score. But as you get into this a little bit deeper, there's a lot going on here, and I want to make sure people understand what these different sections represent. So underneath your overall score, there are 3 main sections that are measurements essentially of your site. You have field data. Field data represents real world data that Google has captured about whatever web page you've entered in for the report. This, if you get a redesign, or if your site is new, or if the traffic is lower, sometimes it takes a little while for this to populate, but this is relative to real world data. Then you've got the origin summary, which is actually Google's results for your entire website. So you may be putting in your contact page or a practice area page into this tool. The origin summary is actually a total representation of the experience across your entire site, right? So that's pretty important to know too. And then finally, you have your lab data. Now, the lab data is pretty interesting because it is simulated data. And this is an important point that I want to make sure people understand. The lab data, as well as the overall score, are actually an intentionally poor simulation to give developers an idea of how their sites may perform in poor environments. So for your overall number and for your lab data, it's the bottom 25% of 4G networks, and it's the top 75% of 3G networks. And this is important, and here's why. If somebody runs their site and they're looking at this number or they're looking at this lab data, the good news is that your real world data here in the field data and origin summary are nearly always better than the lab data, because as I said, that is intentionally throttled down, right? So for a new site, if you're looking good in the lab data, you will no doubt be looking incredible in the real world data.
Okay, can I ask a couple questions real quick?
Yes, please do.
Okay, for one, we're going to put a link to this in the how to get to it. Thomas will do that. And do you have to be a developer? I see in the URL developers. Do you have to be a developer to get to this?
No, you don't. It is part of the developer portion of their website, but anybody can pop in the URL and have access to this tool. No
Okay.
problem.
So what is it? Developers.google.com/speed. Yeah, page speed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speed,
So we'll
page
put that
speed.
in the notes here. And okay, can you show us an example of a bad one?
Sure, I've got one up here, and it looks a lot different. So I just arbitrarily picked ESPN. I like ESPN, but I will say that they need to hook up their site.
Yeah,
So,
so that's look at even the big guys.
oh yeah,
I'm
everybody.
sure they're working on it. I'm sure they'll have it done before that.
I would think so. Yeah, I would think so for sure.
Right.
So, and this is pre whatever work they're going to be doing here, and you can see same amount of information. They've got field data, the origin summary that we spoke about, and then the intentionally throttled down lab data, and they're in the red in a lot of places. So one nice thing about this tool is when you are in the red or there is need for improvement, if you scroll down a little bit, this report will actually show you plenty of opportunities where you can make some adjustments to the site at the developing or code level to improve the site. So that's the nice thing.
That is let me be very clear about this instruction, ladies and gentlemen that are listening to this. This is not for everyday people to be playing around with. It doesn't make any sense to you. Other than if you see a lot of red, you got to give that to your web person and say, please make this green.
Right.
And if they don't know how to do it, then give us a ring, give us a call, because and if you're one of our clients and you haven't done this yet, you got to get it done. But point is that this is a developer tool. Yes, of course, you can look at it, but in terms of in terms of taking action, Kevin, right? I mean, you need somebody like to fix this stuff. You need a developer.
Yes, I totally agree. And I think that's a really good point. I wanted to touch on the interface of the tool a little bit because I
Yeah,
know a lot
please.
of
Sorry about
people,
that.
no, it's okay. No, I mean, because I know a lot of people are taking this into their own hands and using these tools, but I
Sure.
couldn't agree with you more, Tom. I mean, the truth is this is
I
something that
wouldn't
you're,
mess with this.
yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
even know what you're talking about. I don't even know what that means. First content. What does that mean? What do those things mean?
okay, so we can talk about these a little bit. So really, in the overall scheme of measuring page speed or performance, Google has recognized these individual metrics or components that together add up to a good user experience, right? In fact, you can see these little blue ribbons
Yeah, but
here.
what does first content full paint mean? FCP. What does that mean?
Or I have something up. Let's talk
Okay.
about it a little bit.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Am
it's
I-
okay. So I want to focus on these three in particular. So,
Okay.
and you're kind of making a good point though. The point is a lot of this actually is gibberish for the average site
Yeah.
user. And really they should just have whoever their services or development team, whoever's taking care of them should really just get this right for them. Um,
That's, by the way, everybody, I'm no idiot. I'm no schmo. I've written my fair share of code in my day, but point is that things are way beyond my abilities these days, and thank goodness I got guys like Kevin that understand this stuff and that can and make this happen for all of our web clients. Um, because I'm so glad that we're not just dealing with some hack, that we've outsourced from Fiverr or something. You can't get talent like Kevin from those places, no matter what. So I'm just thankful to have you, that you're on this, you understand it, you're motivated to resolve it. Anyway, thank you, Kevin. But anyway, keep going.
And my pleasure. And I tend to agree with you. I mean, we have a small amount of clients that like to get into the details on this stuff, but I think your point stands. I mean, the truth is we should be taking care of that for them, and we have. I mean, as soon as the Google
Yeah.
announced the upcoming thing, our development team was on it, and we started to develop something. And I think the numbers actually speak for themselves on that. So we have a solution here, and I would just encourage everybody to get in line and be a part of that solution. So
we've also integrated this with a update to DSS, which you had a big part of, and a continuing big part of DSS. Not only does Kevin handle all the, front facing, which we call the front end development of making, websites. Son, our designer, will paint pretty pictures in Photoshop of what a website looks like, and Kevin will make that magic happen. But not only that, but also Kevin is really the architect behind the panel editor. Right, Kev? I mean,
well, I think
I
I
know
would
that you're on
call
a team with it, but you're really the guy that was pushing it early on, right? The panel editor.
that was definitely a passion of mine. I wanted to see that
Yes,
come to life. I mean, in the end, that was the effort of the entire development team, and obviously we couldn't do that without Young.
of
But
course not.
yeah, that was a big deal.
Yeah, and that I'm just saying that because that is connected also to these updates, being able to manipulate your content, your design pieces, your elements. We call them panels, you can call them modules, however you want to create a better user experience. That's kind of connected to what we're doing here. So not only were you involved in and continue to be involved in improving the websites themselves, but also how to update the websites in DSS. So it's kind of a combined effort. So
It is, yeah,
good
and I'm very
stuff.
passionate about it. And you bring up
Yeah.
something nice, which is the panel editor. So one thing I will say for our clients that are looking into either getting a redesign for these page speed upgrades, or if the site is new enough for just an upgrade, you can get a redesign or an upgrade. One of the benefits of the upgrade is it will automatically come with the panel manager, which essentially means that every element on your site, if you think about each of those panels or modules like testimonials,
Yeah.
case results, whatever it is, those are individual components that are available in the DSS interface now that you can assign on any place in your site. I mean, you can
Any
effectively build.
page, you can
Yeah,
manage any page. So
yeah,
you can have like a case results panel or reviews panel, or a offers carousel of all your books. That can be a panel. And you could have multiple kinds of them. So you could have one that just shows these books, another one that just these books. You could have reviews that just, we also are able to pull in your Google reviews. So we can just show your Google reviews right on the website. So that's another a thing. And you can put these on any page you want. That's another thing, is so, like, you think you do it yourselfers, you think about that, you don't need to call us for all of those changes anymore once you get set up with this. And you can have panels built, you can edit your own. Anyway, very cool stuff, and it's very exciting. And I like that we combine those two things together for everybody, right? Because not only will their websites be meeting the criteria for Google, the overlord, Google, the overlord, our overlord, but also be able to make it even better, make their websites even better. So, talk about a 1-2 punch on the competition. So
yeah.
it'll be it'll be interesting to see what happens in May. We don't know. Is everybody going to drop off the earth? No, of course not. That's probably not going to happen. But point is that the people that did this will very likely be up in front of everybody else. Do you agree?
I fully agree. I mean, Google is notorious for not being clear about precisely what the impact will or won't be. But the one thing we can say for sure is that if you take care of and get a page speed upgrade, you will not be at a competitive disadvantage. And that's the important part, right? So, whatever degree they end up weighting the page speed, you want to make sure that you are not at a disadvantage because you haven't taken care of the page speed. I mean, that's just the short version of it. I also think that Google will just continue to put more of an emphasis on page speed. So now's the time. Now's the time for
Yep.
the upgrade, for
So,
sure.
and what we're doing now is we're actually looking at our clients to see, for our clients that haven't upgraded yet, we do an analysis, don't we, of how much. So look at it like it's almost like a renovation, like a home renovation. Everybody's different, right? Depending upon when you were built. Obviously, all of our websites are custom. And so whenever your website was built, the further back you went, obviously the bigger the project, the bigger the renovation to bring it to the, right, Kev?
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah.
Yeah. But so if you haven't gotten this yet and you're curious about what that means, it doesn't it's only going to help you. It will not, there's nothing that will hurt you. The only thing that will hurt you is not doing it. So it's only going to help you. All your content flows into the new, version. And so it's, like I said, it's a lot like renovating your house, and having it be upgraded to the latest and greatest in technology, because that's what this is. Right?
Yeah, I totally agree. So I would say for any client that is looking to see what their options are, as you said, I would just reach out to whoever your Foster contact is or to customer service and let us do a brief technical review of the site, and then we can let you know what your options are. For newer sites, they are more compatible with the latest best practices, and that gives you a few more options. If the site is past a certain point in terms of age, then the only option is a full redesign, which is still a great option, because if the site is old enough to require a redesign, that's an opportunity to have a fresh look at your website, right? Reconsider what areas you want to focus on, take a look at your call to actions, work with our designer if you'd like. I mean, that's a huge opportunity. So my advice would be to just reach out and let us do a review so you can know what your options are.
Yep. Very good.
Yep.
Well, Kev, thank you very much for hanging out with me this morning, and you and your beard and your comic book collection. I'm glad to know that now we're going to, like we said earlier, we're going to have to update your bio so that goes in it. And we're going to have to show off some of that collection. You're going to have to video some of that stuff for everybody, because that's a very cool little hobby of yours.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, buddy. Well, thank you very much, Captain Quigley. Thomas, thank you, bud. And we'll make sure that we got all the links for everything that you need to know about getting your page speed upgrade and possible redesign. As Kevin said, you can reach out to to Chad or Gilda or me or Connie or tickets at fosterwebmarketing.com. And if you're not yet a client, you can just give us a call or send me an email at tom@fosterwebmarketing.com and get you started that way. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And that's it for this episode of The World of Marketing. All right, Flanel rules.